is really pointing to what causes exhaustion, pointing to what creates overwhelm. Overwhelm is nothing more than entertaining too much at one time. Because you can sit in a chair. There's not a tsunami that knocks you over. That would be overwhelming. It's not the impact of the world in the physical world that's causing overwhelm. Thank you for coming to today's conversation titled Lightening Your Thought Load. This conversation is really going to point to the source of what keeps you up at night, what exhausts you, what poo-poos on your slightest inspiration, and also what robs you of your peace. I hope you enjoy the conversation, and I look forward to connecting with you at the end of the recording. Lightening your thought load. Lightening your thought load. So in this moment, just in your own mind, and if you want to share, please do. I just thought it'd be interesting to point to that. And lightening your thought load is synonymous with living in less overwhelm, living in less chaos, living in less fear. So all that is synonymous with lightening your thought load. So just in your own reflection, then to share, what keeps you up at night? Or what wakes you up at night? Or what doesn't let you fall asleep? Just in your own reflections. Does anybody want to share what comes to mind when their head hits the pillow and you're not, everything you pushed away is catching up with you when you put your head on the pillow. At least that's my experience of it.
I have a lot that comes up every night, through the night, and in the morning. And it's mostly practical matter, material. What's my schedule for the next day, even though I know it? What is on my to-do list for the next day, even though I know it and I've written it down? What are my must-dos in terms of billing and contracts for my company? What are my obligations for the other company I'm part of? You know, a lot of people will ask me, it's like, do you sleep? Like, yeah, but I need to work on that because I've got a lot of passion for life and doing things. So I just need to find a way. And there's things that are helping. Like just yesterday, I came across something that really helps me. It's a quote by Ellen Watts. No amount of anxiety makes any difference to anything that is going to happen or not happen.
Great. Doesn't change a thing, does it?
Nope.
Doesn't guarantee anything, does it? It doesn't guarantee a less impact or better impact or yes. And you'll notice too, even it's a good thing to kind of notice what exhausts you. You know, because if you really look at what exhausts you, it's we're not running 26 miles a day physically, you know, but there is a level of exhaustion that catches, we find ourselves in. I'm guessing, you know, that I know I do, but so it seems like part of the plan, but in that really seeing what exhausts you. And so if it's not running that marathon, where's the exhaustion, the source of the exhaustion? And that's good to see that it's your thought load. The load, the thought load is really pointing to what causes the exhaustion, pointing to what creates overwhelm. Overwhelm is nothing more than entertaining too much at one time. Because you can sit in a chair. There's not a tsunami that knocks you over. That would be overwhelming, you know. So it's not a physical. It's not the impact of the world in the physical world that's causing overwhelm. So I think that's really good to look at the, what really is the source of overwhelm, chaos, the thought load, and even what you had mentioned, like you when you put your head on the pillow, you're like, my responsibilities come back to busy my mind. What I need to do today, did I get it done today? What I need to do tomorrow, what's my calendar tomorrow? That's interesting that even though we've written it down, we might have written it down, we might also have it digitally. We might have alarms set that are going to alert us to every one of those things. I mean, how many backups to the backup to the backup do we have in order to not miss responsibilities and obligations and deadlines and that kind of thing? See, so it's even when we put those, I call them executive functions in place in order to take it off my mind, to secure that I don't, do my best to miss it. Interesting how it stays on my mind. That's a good thing to see too. So it's not, we're not powerless over it. We have things in the world of form that we can do to support us, and still we have a mind that generates thinking on what we've already put in place to not overload. Okay. So I heard the greatest thing this week, y'all, and I just got to say it because I thought it was so perfect for this topic. And this is why I encourage everybody to kind of listen to the environment versus their mind, because there's teachers everywhere. So I was in a business meeting, so to speak, with a group, and they were trying to find a solution to a problem, and their minds were, their mind was getting busier and busier on how big this problem was. And they came up with a solution that did not address the source of the problem, And one of these, I call them pawpaws, in the group goes, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to just say it. They said, how did they put it? So I'll come back. Like, so there said you people are not looking at the source of the problem. Y'all are treating this as if your dog has diarrhea and you're sewing up his backside. That's not exactly the same language he used, but I thought that was so great. I was like, if we don't look at the source of our thought load, how much we're carrying on our mind, if we think, oh, retirement's going to be better than this moment because I won't have that on my mind. I can promise you, whatever was in that space, your mind is going to find another topic to obsess on. So it's never going to be stitching up the backside. I mean, thinking your circumstances is stitching up the backside. I thought that was like good old Farmer Brown wisdom, or Farmer Jane wisdom. That was like, there's some sort of truth that echoes in that. Like, let's look at the source and quit thinking it's our circumstances here, So let's look at what bottom line true. Okay. What's bottom line true is our one of the facts about being a human being is that we have a personal mind that thinks all the time. That's it. Not a problem. Not a problem. It's not a big deal. So I think another way of lightening your thought load when looking at the source, another metaphor for that, besides stitching up your dog's backside, is knowing that your mind is always going to offer something. Now, we all love, I don't know about everybody in this conversation, but most of the people I know love the idea of thinking there's something they can control in their life. We just have human beings want to control something. So I think in this situation, when we know that we have a mind that's going to think, and offer, we have this ability to kind of consider the source. Okay? Consider the source in the way of who you are today and what you value and what you want for yourself. Who you are today, what you value and what you want for yourself. You would take advice from someone who values those same things. You know, somebody who might that you align with. I'll say that way. So in that place where we really have a desire to be in control and being current with who you are today and what you value, it's good to know that the personal mind is gonna be influenced by past situations, by the past period. It may be familial, it may be cultural, it may be a lot of things, but it's not current. The influences that our mind lives under and sees what's possible for us is not current. And truly the influences that we ingested in the past, you know, maybe some people were absolutely aligned with what's important to you today. And maybe they weren't. You know, I think about that in my own world where I had one auntie who was a party girl from day one, and we still align today. She's long since gone, but everything about her was life is meant to be fun. Go enjoy it. Go enjoy it. Don't get weighted down by all that stuff that looks so important. I mean, she is a party girl born in, 1936. And it's like, she's like, invitation, you say yes, you go, you do. So luckily, her values and mine, her advice, I'll say her advice always rings in my ear because it's aligned with who I am today. And luckily, it always was an echo, even if I didn't realize that about myself at a younger age. So when we want to control, we have a desire to control. We can absolutely control whose advice and input we take seriously, whose advice and input we respect. Does that look like we have free will to be able to respect advice? So it's good to go, yeah, you absolutely have free will to respect anybody's advice you want to. You are not force fed it. So you can have free will to listen to whoever advice you align with. So you notice a real good part about lightening your thought load is that knowing the source of our personal thinking, what looks safe, what looks right, what looks wrong. It's good to see if that's based on today, the here and the now, or if it's something that's we consider to be true, but is it true for you today? Now, I say all that because we're in this conversation to lighten our thought load. We have free will to get on I'll say a meditative practice of choosing what comes into let me rephrase that. I wanted to go in the wrong direction. We have free will to take the advice that aligns with who we are today from our own personal mind. Okay. Now, what does that mean? It's like, if we know that the thoughts that come into our mind that tighten us or contract us or stress us is good to know that that's probably not current information. And so you have the free will to accept it And you also have the free will to treat it like it's the siren that's going past you on the freeway. You know, like say you're driving down the freeway and sirens come up and you look up and you hear them coming. And then you can also let them pass, because if they're not coming for you, you can let them pass. Now that's a meditative practice you can get stronger about doing. Input that we respect, input that we accept, input that we take as relevant. That's the place where human beings have some control. Not what comes to mind, but we have control over what we think into, what we accept as real and true. And does it align with who you are today, or can you let it go? Or just, even if it's stubborn, you don't have to try to eradicate it, eliminate it, do anything with it. The less you do with it, the smoother you come back to peace. So I'd love to hear, just top of your mind, what comes to mind for you? What's stirring in your own head for discussion's sake?
I think that it depends on my state of mind. When I put my head down, it depends on my state of mind what goes through it.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So, you know, there's sometimes that it's going, there's a lot of thought and I'm enjoying it, you know, and sometimes it's just dragging up all the things I've done wrong.
And where are those things in that perspective?
They're in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not current. Yeah. So okay. So, but if they're current, then, well, depending on what they are, then, you know, in my state of mind, then or not, I want to entertain them or let them entertain me.
That's it. Oh my gosh, I love that even better. I love that even better, to get my attention, to let them entertain me. You know, whether they're taking me to a haunted house or taking me to you know, my dream location. So whatever you want, that what do you let captivate and entertain you?
Yeah.
That's a brilliant metaphor. I love that. We have free will in that. That is, yes, I love that. I love that. See, it's like going to the movie theater. You know, you get to pick which movie you walk into. We're not in control of the movies that are being seen, but we can be in control of which ones we sit down and, to your point, let us entertain us, or we choose an entertainment.
So the trick is your state, for me anyways, my state of mind when I put my head on the pillow.
Right. Because when we're in a low mood, we're more susceptible to that thought load. You know, we're more susceptible. Thinking, it feels like I need more strength than I have in that moment to not take it seriously. But that's not a problem either. You know, I mean, you can kind of say, "Oh yeah, I see, I have nothing to fight it," but I still know it's the voice of someone I don't want to take their advice from.
Yeah, lately I've been, when I, for whatever reason is on my mind or whatever I'm, you know, I've been thinking about my tongue and how the space it's taken up in my mouth and, you know, just whatever. And that seems to be helpful.
Yeah, well, I even think too, it's like what you pointed to is like, it's a wild card what pops in our head. You know, I mean, you didn't think about it. It just popped into your head, you know, so that shows the random nature of what pops into our head and gets what pops into our head. Now, what we do with what pops into our head, you know, that's where that to me, we can get stronger at choosing what supports me and what erodes my sense of well-being. I love that. I love that what you said. It, you know, I don't know. Most human minds seem to I'll say an untrained relationship is like, if we can just jam on drama and chaos and overwhelm and feeling like we have no say in the matter, or there's no way to find peace as a human being. I mean, you can see all that's a mindset too.
Yeah, I notice people that I know that seem like they have an addiction to revving up. You know, well, that person did this, and I and whatever, and you know, when they're doing that, it's easy for me to see it. You know,
Absolutely. Well, they can be our teachers. That's what I'm saying. Our teachers are all around us. We're open and to see it. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So and then I'm trying to think of why I thought it was helpful for me to see that. But anyway, it's I think that I have, of course, and everybody I'm sure has their own set of. Oh, I remember what it was. It was that it's so enticing, you know, to not want to, there's a payoff for, well, for community. Oh, let me jump in here with them. Or because if I stand back, then I start getting righteous, and oh, look what they're doing, and so it's uh, but I know that there is some payoff for, I mean, I watch a soap opera and I get so aggravated with these people, and I think, why do you keep watching this when these people driving you crazy? And I think it's because we're a habit, and part of me has some kind of investment in these actors' lives. Something about it's entertaining, but then there's some attraction to that, whether it's that drama or jumping into somebody else's drama, and there's something appealing about it, but then can get sticky. Yeah, so I can see. Yeah, yeah. Then it's time. Then it's time to step out of it. I don't know how to step out of it, but well, I don't know if that's true. It's easy to be righteous, and probably that's another way of another addictive behavior, or maybe not addictive, but a habit or whatever, that oh, well, I wouldn't do that, or I don't do that, or I don't get upset in traffic until I do. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and what you're pointing to too is so helpful. It's like there's a part of us, whatever you want to call it, that conditioned part of us, that ego part of us, whatever, just it juices up on the right and the wrongness, the better and the lesserness. It loves a feeling of the drama, because it feels like it's when we get involved in those kind of drama situations, it's really giving that right and wrongness, like putting a defibrillator on it and bringing it to life. So it does give us a feeling of aliveness, because our sensory systems are funded by that right and wrongness, and we feel more alive. Like you said, we get jazzed up and worked up, and I just kind of feel like there's a little camp of gremlins or something up there going, yes, we got them back over here on our side. We got them back over here on our side. And where the land of the right and the wrong is, the good and the bad, we keep them stirred up.
Yeah.
We can distract them from the present moment if we keep them over here in the land of the stirred up and what's not right, and their idea of self-worth, that they can feel better about themselves because somebody really stepped in it over there. All the report cards are over there, kind of in the ego part of us.
Yeah.
And the whatever this deeper part of us where peace resides is just, waiting for us to come back anytime. Anytime. It's like, you guys come on back over here anytime you want. When that wears yourself out, you come on back anytime. We're always here. We're always
Yeah, maybe there's something about instead of sitting in judgment, but sitting in appreciation and looking and thinking, humanity, isn't it grand?
yes.
Yeah. And so then you get to shift and go, yeah, these are people that I care about, whatever they're doing. I can appreciate it.
Yes. And I think too, the innocence in it, it's like, until we've gotten a break from that dynamic, I'll just try to find a neutral world, that dynamic, we don't know there's a better feeling for us. A better sense of well-being, because we've kind of been in the loop of that reality,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not until you get a break from it or something shifts, you listen to some other part of yourself or be curious about some of the other source of wisdom within yourself that something could occur to you, and you listen to it and you respond to it, and you get the opportunity to experience something different.
Mm.
You know, so it's completely innocent. And I love what you said about like, all this humanity is not a problem, but the more we understand it, the more compassion we can have for people where they are, more compassion we can have for where we sit. I love that. I love that. But that feeling of aliveness is like, we don't know aliveness can come from another source. Even
I'd
a
like to add, what comes up for me in this dialogue is there are communities on Reddit and Facebook where, you know, they're give me advice groups and threads and so forth. And I love to go into them and add a different flavor to the thread.
Mhm.
Just in general, there's many of them that'll go, you know, they'll post anonymously and say, oh, my husband does this and that and everything else. And you'll get 30, 40 other people commenting below it, like, oh, leave him. He's a jerk. So many red flags, da 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 da. And then I come in and I post something with a totally different. But I think that there's a dopamine hit when there's colluding, when there's people siding with the individual and saying, yeah, you're right. He's, you know, trash, leave him, blah, 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 which they only know like 0.000000001% of the situation. And they're telling this person to leave, you know. And I think that the colluding and the commiserating, it reinforces that line of thinking, you know, looking for the negative, looking for, searching out for the evidence and proof that he is a terrible, it could be husband, could be wife, it goes both ways, but, you know, terrible person. And I think it just reinforces that fear-based thinking, looking for more evidence, looking for more proof for that person to be, you know, wrong. And yeah, it's interesting and fascinating to me. And I come in and with, you know, looking for the gratitude and the appreciation, and obviously not every post is, I can come in and say something, but it's interesting. You know, I get feedback. Some people aren't real thrilled with my posts, and that's fine. That, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I don't feed into that, but I just find it fascinating how social media has really taken hold of the right and the wrong, the better, the less
Yeah.
than.
Yes.
You know, thumbs up, thumbs down, good, bad, right, wrong, better, worse, you know, all the things. And it's just, I think it just feeds that narrative.
You're absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And once we can gain understanding that there's just a part of us that loves that right and wrong, you know, it's innocent. It's part of this humanity, like we were just talking about. There's just a part of us that loves that right and wrong. But we can also have a choice and really kind of control how much of my energy I put in that. You know, when you stop feeding something, it eventually falls away, you know, and it's compelling. It is so compelling at first to to seek. This is another point I want to bring up a second ago, is like, we seek connection, and that colluding and commiserating can really, consciously or not consciously, help us feel like we're finding a touch point to connect with, you know. And it's like, oh, because we want to belong. We want people around us to feel like they're heard. We want them to know we care. And colluding and commiserating, just as you said, fortifies those limited realities of right and wrong, good and bad, and it fortifies them. It doesn't dissolve them or blur the edges. It fortifies them. So I think it's all a challenge for us to, when we stay out of the right and the wrong and the good and the bad, what at first our mind will stay busy, Because it's trying to find a way to come get you back into the land of right and wrong, good and bad. And the fear of like, oh my God, if I don't connect with them via commiseration or colluding or well, I don't know how to connect with them. You know, I don't know how to reach them. I don't know how to let them know I'm there for them. But it's interesting to kind of see what else is there if you can listen.
I'm a victim, you know,
There's a good person and a bad person out there,
Yeah.
and they're trying to conquer us. You know what I mean? They're out to conquer us.
but it's again that polarity, right? The yin and the yang, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. And yeah, I just like to swoop in and shine a light on a different perspective, yeah.
It's an invitation to another reality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's as woo-woo as that sounds. It's like I'll kind of point to what was mentioned a while ago about some nights I put my head on the pillow and I'm enjoying it. It's so delicious. And other nights when I'm in a low mood and I put my head on a pillow, it's miserable. Okay. Now, in that moment, in that times when we are in, I'll say, a peaceful state of mind, you'll see opportunities and realities that don't exist when we're in that low state of mind. It looks gloom and doom in a low state of mind. And so I say that because there's being introduced to a fresh reality or a reality your mind hasn't let you see. A burdened mind, a very heavy loaded mind, heavy thought loaded mind, depending on, you know, like you're going to see opportunities that are a match to that.
Right. Well, I think what I notice is from my own experience is when I'm feeling like in a low state of mind, I do oftentimes see two conflicting options. When I'm in a high state of mind, it's like an infinite number of options and it's fun, it's freeing, it's, you know, you can create some wild ideas that may not be like, I'm not going to jump out of an airplane, you know, but, you know, it could be fun and playful with it and then create something, you know, maybe a plate of options, a list of different options, and it just can be lighter and freer and innovative and creative.
Totally. Where inspired thought comes from, you know, and you just can notice that, like, to make it very practical, you know, say you take colluding and commiserating off the table, just for like humanity challenge 101. I'm going to just see if I can go on a colluding and commiserating fast and just be present to somebody. That's going to give you that's going to, at first might burden your mind, but if you stay with it, it's going to lighten your load. Because more of those thoughts of right and wrong can pass through versus make camp. So in that lightening your load, again, you're at that place of free will where you can choose what you listen to.
Yeah, I think the thing that comes up for me, it's interesting. I'm in a homeowners association of 45 homes, and there's a very big divide, a lot of colluding, a lot of commiserating. And I watch it with deep fascination and curiosity. And it's fascinating how they don't see what they're doing. They don't understand. And both sides are so defensive. And there's just these huge walls. And I had these thoughts the other day as I was raking, and I thought, oh, I wonder if there's a way that I could open up some sort of class. And I thought, oh, nobody's going to show up because they don't see that there's anything wrong, right? You can't fix the things that you can't see that are, you know, your blind spots or whatever. But it's just interesting that they're just buckling down and really rooting into what they believe innocently is right. You know, both sides are I'm right, and just real real, yeah, just in a low mood and a low state of mind and a low energy. And they're just, yeah, it's fascinating to watch that. And for me, I just think it's such an easier, lighter way. And again, I think some people that are in the deep rooted into the social media, what's right, what's wrong, and really grounded into that and reinforcing that, it's scary to think about going outside of that. Because that's unfamiliar, right? It's not familiar. It's not, their brain goes, oh, that's not in the comfort zone, the danger, danger, danger. So to be open and vulnerable and say, can we come together and maybe come up with an idea together? I don't, I was hoping that this new administration would change that, but it's not, unfortunately. But I just watch it from a I watch it from the outside, and just it's just fascinating how humans behave.
Yeah, and I think that's, to me, the other Me Too movement. Yes, when I see all the whatever I see, it's like, oh, bless their heart, they can't see it. It's like, yeah, me too, me too. Because when I can't see it, I can't see it either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like we all kind of get folded into that omelet of humanity. It's like, yeah, me too, me too. And but to your point about lightening your thought load, it's like when you, just like you said, when you look at that group of 40 plus homeowners,
Mhm.
your level of understanding humanity is like every one of those people have their point of view from
Yeah.
the reality they sit in,
Yeah.
and that they're innocently seeing it from their individual reality.
Yeah.
Now, having just that little piece of understanding, how much would that take off an individual's mind and just not staying stirred up about all those different realities and how you might need to convince them or change them, or how wrong they are, how right they are. You see, just
Right.
that little piece of going, they're seeing it from their way of seeing it.
Yeah. 45 different versions.
Exactly. 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 So you can see, I don't know if you can, I mean, if y'all can see that, it seems so obvious about how much churning I wouldn't have in my head if I know that they can't see it any other way than the way that they're seeing it from where they're sitting.
It's interesting because I see a lot of me, 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 me.
Sure.
Like, the road stuff. The people that are voting one way travel very little of the road, but then the other side, those are the people that are voting for obviously more money towards the road, or the ones that are traveling 8 miles of the road. And so and that's normal, that's natural, that's to be expected. And unfortunately there's not a lot of people that travel the longer part of the road. Anyways, it's just funny, the humanity, the funny humans.
Yeah, yeah. And but even be able to have a sense of humor about humans
Yeah.
and the humanity of being human, that lightens your thought load.
Yeah, it does.
You can take that in stride about, yeah, we all have blind spots and we are all believe our thinking and we all take what comes in our head seriously. We all think it's the voice of the ultimate truth, what occurs to me. And then we get so, I don't know, we can kind of get gobsmacked when you talk to somebody and they can't even see what you're seeing. And you're like, my gosh, it's right in front of you. Can't you see it? And they're like, I'm looking, but I don't see what you're seeing.
I love your metaphor of the movie theater too, because it's almost like we're in the movie theater, there's 45 different movies playing, and we're all going into different movie theaters. And then the other thing too that rises for me is we're going to choose a movie, like let's say we all want comedy, we're all going to choose the comedy that we relate to. Like my husband and I, we have very different flavors of humor, and it's interesting, and what is that about? Like what is that about? It's fun. I love the curiosity of it.
Yeah, and that I think we're in a real time of the potential of waking up to being powerless.
Mm.
I think we're at a real time of being able to wake up to somehow we feel powerless. But to me, the powerlessness is not in getting things my way,
Mhm.
you know, or but the real power is in where you sit and see the world.
Being vulnerable allows us to connect more,
Yeah.
right? Being able to say, yeah, I'm a human being that's kind of just operating based on what I know and what I think and believe, and that's going to be different. Like my fingerprints are unique to me, and I think that everyone that we come in contact with can teach us something. They see us from a different angle. They see us from a different lens.
Well, and we see them too from a different lens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I think kind of that, I don't know, this feels fresh to me in my own experience of life is when you come in contact with people nowadays, I kind of just see, not kind of just see, but who they are in the world is meaningless to me because I just really see them as a human being with a heart, you know, and there's a heart that wants to be seen and wants to be heard or understood. And to me, it's a universal point of connection.
For me, that resonates with me too, because I look at people as just like a 6-year-old child in a grown-up body. We're just doing the best that we can, and they have blood and feel pain, and they're all everybody goes through some sort of grief, and we all go through the whole spectrum of feelings, and we're all dealt a different deck of cards. So it's really, we're all working off of what we know to be best in the moment, and making decisions on the fly. And yeah, we all feel regret, we all feel joy, we all feel all of it.
Totally, totally. And we all have uninvited occurrences come into our life. Guaranteed.
Yep.
Guaranteed. And so everybody's navigating what's being presented to them in their life. You know, there is nobody out there that has a master plan to avoid life. To avoid whatever you don't want to experience in life. There's nobody out there that got that download. But we all did get the capacity to navigate what life is presenting us. It's only a concept and idea. We don't have what it takes. But it's so, in this culture, we've been so served up that several things, that there's another time better than this one.
Mhm.
There's other circumstances that are better than these.
Mhm.
And I'll feel better when.
Yep. But that's to keep the economy going. Right?
Well, that too, it helps keep the idea that the right and wrongness,
Yeah.
that intoxication, just like we were talking about a while ago about soap operas and the intoxication of that illusion. It feels so, it can captivate us, take us right out of the moment to think that, well, when my kids are out of the house, it's gonna, it's like, well, guess what? Your kids are gonna be out of the house, and you're gonna be sad your kids are out of the house, and that's gonna take that space or whatever it is, It's like,
Yeah.
we're susceptible to what occurs to our mind.
Yeah.
We can also make the choice to break camp in a fear-based reality and ask for inner wisdom to how to build a new home and a safe, secure, relaxed, loving reality.
Mhm.
The choice is there. The choice is there. And truly, I believe if you have the desire to live in a secure, peaceful, it's not 100% of the time, but even if it's 51% of the time, your foundation is in knowing you can relax, take it off your mind, and just stop allowing yourself to be susceptible to what the fear-based part of us is selling.
Yeah, it's really leaning into a feeling. Really, that's what it boils down to, is being aware, going off the autopilot and really understanding, how am I feeling right now? And any kind of low negative feeling to me is just an alert, it's an alarm that something, just slow down, and then how do I want to feel right now? And then I feel more empowered and feel more, if I have more choice.
Yeah, yeah. And even I like the freedom in even if I'm in a funk, I don't have to change the funk.
Right.
It's like, so what? I'm in a funk. So what? Next, I don't like it, but I know it's not gonna last. I wish I didn't a funk never found me, but so what? You know what I mean? So it's not about working hard and busying your mind trying to figure out how to get out of the funk. Just don't fight the funk, I guess is
There's your new title. Don't fight the funk.
maybe that's a t-shirt. Don't fight the funk, just relax and know that it's not going to last forever. And that can take a load off your mind. Yeah. Yeah. So if you're one of those people that likes the idea of being in control, you can accept and respect anything that comes into your head. If it tightens you, it's probably not the voice of what's current. And that could, to your point, that could be the feeling that alerts you to, if it tightens you, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I might be stepping into a horror film when I look at my ticket and it was a rom-com. It's like, wait a minute. But if something occurs to you, inspiration, it's like, I love the idea that if an idea comes to mind, that the source of what gave you that fresh idea before we squelch it with the past, the source that gave you that inspiration is going to give you the next step if you don't poo-poo on it. And so that can take a load off your mind going, oh my gosh, I have to figure out how to do this. I got this idea. I have to figure out how to do this. It's like, well, the source that gave you that will give you the next one, the freer your mind is. Any other thoughts or anything that comes to mind before we wrap up our Friday visit? Well, I love it. I love it. So hopefully, if to kind of button it up, if you want to lighten your load, you don't have to take everything seriously. You have the control to think into anything you want to think into, and also let the temporary experience just come and go. Just come and go. Again, thank you guys so much for making time in your day to come in and take a listen and participate in the conversation. It's like a party I throw for myself, and I'm so grateful y'all show up and play with me. So thank you. Thank you for coming to today's conversation on lightening your thought load. I hope that from this conversation, you saw the true source of what causes overwhelm, chaos, scary realities, the source of what poo-poos on your inspirations. I also love the idea and the metaphor of trying to solve your dog's diarrhea by stitching up its backside. You are not addressing the source. So in today's conversation, I hope you saw that the source of very heavy-weighted thought load is your personal mind, and that you see possibilities and choices you can make on your behalf to lighten your load. Thank you so much for coming to today's conversation. I look forward to seeing you on the next. If you'd like to connect, possibly talk about working together, reach out to me at Cherie at cherieray.com. I also have a group coaching event starting in April called Core Competence, and you can read more about that on my website, cherieray.com.